As if Israeli elections, all four of them in the past 3 years, haven't been complex and tricky enough, another one will take place in November. Something new has to be added to an equation already filled with unknowns. Since the Russian-Ukraine war started in February, around 30,000 Ukrainian and Russian immigrants have come to Israel. According to the law, everyone who received Israeli citizenship by September 8 will have the right to vote in the November election. But how many of these new Israelis will actually do so?
We do not know how many of them will be in Israel, because there is a phenomena of Russian Israelis who tend to go back to Moscow, whether to settle their things or to reside there in the meanwhile. But we can safely assume that at least half of this number will be participating for the first time in their lives in the Israeli parliamentary election.
According to some officials, this number is the equivalent of only 1 seat in parliament. But is it a drop in the ocean that actually matters?
Usually, I would say that this number is too small. But because we are so close, because we are living in the state of impasse for quite a few years, going to one election round after another, I would say that every vote counts. That could be the critical seat that could, shake the balance between the blocks.
And who are these new immigrants? What are their political views?
I would like to vote as I take an active political position. After I moved to Israel, my views have changed. I used to support Netanyahu. I kept an eye on Israeli development in recent years. I read general news and analysis of his politics in previous crises, and I thought it was reasonable. After I moved to Israel, I learned what the political parties are here, and now I support Yamina of Naftali Bennett and the party of Yair Lapid.
Building on what we know about the voting patterns of the new immigrants who came from Russia and Ukraine after 2014, it's safe to assume that most of them are voting to the center or even center-left. So this is very interesting, because traditionally the Israelis of Russian, Ukrainian origin, those who came from former Soviet Union, they were oriented around the right-wing bloc and sometimes even around the extreme right-wing parties.
However, there is a big number of new immigrants who are willing to vote but haven't made up their mind yet.
First of all, I need to sort out for whom to vote, as if I go to take part in it, I want to make it for the better.
It is important to take part in political life in the country. I know that in Israel there are heated discussions about elections, and people among one family may have different opinions. But in our family, we have not discussed it yet.
For some, the right to vote is actually a privilege they haven't had before.
I would like to go to vote. When I clarify the issue for myself, I will go to vote immediately. That's something that we lacked, and it's an opportunity we have now.
And then there are those who decided to wait until the next time.
I heard that I have the right to vote, but I don't know from whom. I think in my first year here, I will skip it in order to learn more about people, the system, how it works here in comparison to Russia. I'm sure everything is different here.
Hinting that the next election in Israel might happen sooner than expected.